Good morning to my honorable lecturers, Miss Fitri and Miss Yafira, and to fellow cadets. Thank you for giving me a chance to deliver my speech today. Before we get into the topic, let me introduce myself. I'm Runold Salijo Muir Jr. from Palembang Aviation Politeknik, and today I'm here to talk about how toxic masculinity affects us and what we can do to fight against it. First of all, some of you might wonder, what is toxic masculinity? Do you ever see a man who has feminine personality and a man who wear feminine clothes? In social science, toxic masculinity refers to cultural masculine norms. It involves cultural pressures to behave in a certain way. Toxic masculinity refers to the idea of manliness, perpetuates domination, homophobia, and aggression. I'm sure most of us have stumbled upon statements such as, if you don't smoke, do a certain type of drugs, or get drunk, you are not a man. If you are not strong, then you are not a man. If you are not masculine or manly enough, you are not a man. And if you cry, then you are not a man. Those statements are a few of the simplest examples of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity spreads a message that in order to be a real man, you have to suppress your emotions, act tough, and behave in a certain way. Showing any feminine traits is to show signs of weakness. Toxic masculinity corrupts the concept of what it means to be a man, misrepresenting it to society and encouraging anti-femininity behavior, which is why there are lots of bullying cases involving a man or a boy that is slightly feminine or less manly. That being said, toxic masculinity can affect people in many different ways, and that includes men themselves. Here are some ways people can be impacted by toxic masculinity. First is toxic masculinity and violence. Men are not naturally violent. However, men are more likely to be found guilty of a violent crime than women. This is because they have grown up in a culture where the expectation to be aggressively masculine has resulted in violent behavior. This is a symptom of toxic masculinity because it makes men feel like they need to prove their manhood through physical dominance and using violence. Toxic masculinity and mental health. Toxic masculinity can have a really negative impact on men's mental health. If men have been told to suppress their emotion and are made to feel embarrassed for crying or talking about how they feel, it can make it even harder to reach out when they are experiencing a mental health crisis. If people feel like they can talk and instead choose to bottle everything up, they are more likely to experience mental health problems. According to World Health Organization research, rates of suicide are higher for men than for women. Remember, we all have mental health, just like we all have physical health, and it helps to open up and talk. So, what we can do to fight against it? Someone once said, we cannot control the sea, but we can control the ship. So, what I'm trying to say is that everything starts with ourselves. How we treat others around gives big impact, while challenging others is part of lacking toxic masculinity. It might also be important to challenge yourself from time to time when we have been brought up in a culture with a certain stereotypes around men and women, male and female, masculine and feminine. Sometimes we might make assumptions or have thoughts that are shaped by these stereotypes. If you catch yourself saying or thinking something that could be harmful or offensive to others, or is very stereotypical, take a moment for a while to ask where they came from. and if you really believe it. So, it costs nothing to be nice. As simple as act of kindness could make a world a better place and safe place for men, women, and non-binary people. That's it for me. I hope we can open up our minds and treat people the way you want to be treated. I'm Runold Salijo Muir Jr. Thank you.